Hi guys, so before I get into my story about law of attraction, I know people always ask what exactly is law of attraction. So the whole theory of law of attraction is just simply likes attracts likes. Whatever it is you're speaking out into the universe, you're going to receive it. We as human beings are just simply forms of energy. So we speak positivity and work towards a goal, which is a very important part. Working towards it, not only just speaking it, but you have to work towards it. It can happen. And of course, if you speak negative energy into your life or speaking negativity into your life, you will reap those benefits just as well. So, yeah, there's a ton of information on law of attraction, not just Wikipedia, as my friend likes to say, but there's a ton of information about law of attraction. This is just my story. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you later. Bye. So this is my story of law of attraction. A very prominent story for me, which actually made me even realize that it was law of attraction. So here is a very brief backdrop, because I could just talk about this forever in a day. So basically, my junior year in college, I was looking for internships, and I knew that I wanted to be in New York. I always knew that I wanted to work in New York, live in New York. I just can't explain it. I just knew that's what I wanted to be. So I was in the process of looking for an internship. I didn't know where I was going to stay, how I was going to get there, but I was just going through the process of finding out information. So it turns out I actually was able to connect with someone through school and find out that my school actually offered a program for summer internships in New York. How cool is that, right? So I started applying for internships, got into the program, and so I was headed to New York, right? So I started the process of looking for an intern in New York in November. And then I found out about a school program, so I was accepted in February, but I still hadn't found an internship, and the program itself started in May. And once I got to New York, I didn't have an intern. I literally applied to over 100 places for an internship, and I did not get my internship until I was 2 weeks there in New York. And a lot of students didn't even cancel the trip because they didn't have an internship. But I knew that I have been waiting my whole life for this. I'm not letting that stop me. I knew I was getting an internship. So that's not even the law of attraction part. So side notes, I guess, before I went to New York, my dad so much didn't approve of it. He knew cost of living is ridiculously expensive compared to living in Mississippi. And so he would always say, I don't know why you would want to go somewhere else and struggle when you can be at home and struggle, or even live decent at home. And so that's the thing about life. Generally, sometimes when people don't necessarily approve of what you're doing, they're not so much willing to help you, opposed to when you're actually doing something they want you to do. Of course, I guess that's almost naturally they're going to be willing to help you. And so when I went to New York, at the time, my mom was going through chemotherapy and my sister was getting married. So there was literally no extra funds for me to give to me to go to New York. My mom was actually going through chemotherapy, going to school to get her bachelor's degree. So there was just a lot going on at that time. And so I went to New York with maybe $200, $300, if that much, in my pocket. And I still had to pay rent for the next coming up month. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I came to New York, but I just knew I was happy to be there. And I guess last month or so, I was watching this Will Smith video on YouTube, and he's talking about law of attraction and just everything like that. And he said that you have to be willing to die for something. Law of attraction is, if you want it that bad, you are willing to die for it to happen. And I remember before I was leaving, I was like, if I get to New York and I'm actually there, if I die, I would be happy. Literally, I said, if I die, I would be happy. And I had no idea where this came from. But I was just like, if that's what's to happen, I would be okay with that because I made it there. So that's just a side note, I guess. So back to the whole having no funds, no internship, anything like that, living in New York. I was able to secure an internship, but literally by this time, the internship was unpaid. So by this time, I was literally already in overdraft. my mom and aunt had sent me like food and everything to the mail, like 2 packages, but that wasn't gonna last forever. I knew I needed a job, so immediately when I got to New York, I started applying for part-time positions, things around my area. I wanted somewhere close by because transit costs money as well. And so I remember filling out all these applications, and I haven't heard from anybody yet. And so I remember I was on the phone talking to my boyfriend at the time, crying. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I need money. Like, I don't know how am I going to survive here. Like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And he would always say, you know, which is good advice. And at the time, I didn't want to hear it. But he said, it's going to work out because it has to work out. And at that point, I was like, why? You need to tell me, like, how is it going to work out? How am I going to do A, B, C, D? Like, how is that going to work out? Just don't tell me it's going to work out because it has to work out. But you know what, guys? That is some of the best advice ever. Which goes with law of attraction, if you believe it and know in your heart that whatever situation you're in, it's going to work out because it has to work out, it will. And so that night, after he told me that, I was still upset. I was crying, but I was laying in my bed, about to go to sleep, and my bed actually faced our window in our room. I had a roommate, and so our blinds were opened, and I just looked outside, and it wasn't like the best New York backdrop scene, none of that. It was literally my building, the sides of the buildings, which was other people with their lights on, a water tower, but it was so beautiful to me. And I remember just hearing the noise of New York City, just the beautiful noise of New York City, and seeing the lights and everything like that, and a sense of just relief and just releasing and letting everything go. And I said, if I could be anywhere with any other circumstances going on in my life right now, I would still choose to be here in this moment, right here in this bed, looking at this beautiful window and hearing and seeing the noise and everything about New York. And I texted him that. I said, you know what? I'm glad to be here. If I could be anywhere else, I would still choose to be here. And so I went to sleep. I felt good about tomorrow. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just knew it would all work out. So the next morning, my roommate is out on her intern, working. And so I was just getting ready for the day. I was going to go out, walk around our neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. I just love, that's the thing, when you just go outside and enjoy nature or just being in silence or stillness, you can get so much inspiration and just release, and it just calms me down. So being in New York actually made me appreciate nature more. And being outside, New York is such a beautiful city, and just being out there, it just made me knew that I was in the right place. So I was getting ready. I was at my desk. I think I was like maybe lotioning down. I don't know, just getting ready for the day. And so my phone rings, and this lady calls. She says, "Hi, I'm calling from CVS. Are you available for an interview?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And she was like, "Do you know where we're located?" And so it was actually a CVS literally a block away from me. So I said, "Is this the one on whatever street?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, great. I'll see you whatever day." So the day I come in for the interview, I wait. I see the manager. And he said, "You know what?" He said, "When I saw your resume, I immediately told her to call you. I told her, this is it. This is the person I've been looking for. This is what we need here at this store." And at the time, it almost still didn't click with me. And it still just almost blows my mind how powerful God, law of attraction is, everything like that. And that just truly showed me, looking back on it now, what law of attraction can do. So of course I got the job. He said that's what he's been looking for. I have been searching for a job, didn't know how I was going to survive, and once he saw my application, he knew that I was the person for the job. I think that's just so powerful as far as law of attraction goes. So yeah, that was it. Was it still tough this summer? Absolutely, but I learned how to budget more. If you need tips, especially living in a big city, about budgeting or anything like that, I'm your girl, like seriously. So that's one of my story of law of attraction, which changed my whole outlook on things. Like, that was it. The end all be all for me was being in New York, and to survive that, going into there, sending out hundreds of applications for months at a time, still not having an intern when I got there and surviving and getting a job and loving every aspect of it, that's just beautiful to me. And that's just what law of attraction is for me. So moving on, this is actually another aspect of law of attraction. Well, not another story, I guess you can say, which is a very recent story, which is still in the mix. So I guess that's exciting, right? So last week or 2 weeks ago, I was actually in Chicago with my family. We went up there to see family, and I was actually staying with my friend while I was there. So for whatever reason, which we're not even gonna get into, I was actually at home at her place by myself. And so I went to, I went outside. She left me her keys, so I went out and walked around the city, which is what I love to do about cities, walking around. I actually ran into someone at a CVS who actually had family from Mississippi, which is very common in Chicago. Either you have family or you're from Mississippi or vice versa, so that's very common. So anyway, I went out, got something to eat. I went back to her place, and I actually remember I went out on her deck just to sit down, to be outside. And once I was sitting there, it almost was like a New York moment again. I was like, I know this is in New York, but I remember looking out on her deck. There were other condos or brownstones, and so I saw this lady, Saturday night in her kitchen getting food. I don't know, it was just calm though. And so I saw this lady, and I just, living her life. And then on the corner on the side, I didn't see the people, but I heard people out on their deck just enjoying their Saturday night and life. And it just brought me back to New York. And I said, I know that Chicago is not necessarily where I want to be. I know that I have things lined up for January to actually move to DC, and I know that's not where I really want to be. But I said, this right here lets me know that I can get back to New York. I know I want to get back to New York. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how, but New York is a place for me. And I just felt calmness, just like the night before, back in New York. And so I went back inside, I ate my dinner, waited till my friend got home, and that was the night. So we actually went out later on that night, and I got a text from my mom. She said, I just talked to my cousin. He actually has a son who lives in New York. Hopefully he'll be able to help you out, get you a job. Here's his number, call him, whatever. So this is where I'm at now. I'm actually, I called the guy because he's busy, schedule conflicts. I wasn't actually able to really get into full details and talk with him, but actually this week I will be talking to him. So I'll keep you guys updated. At this point, my mom is like, are you excited? Like, no, because I have talked to a lot of people about getting back to New York, and things just didn't pan out. So I'm not putting everything into this conversation with him. I don't know how it's going to go, but I still know that if this is not my way to get into New York, I'm still getting there. And so I just want to share that with you guys. So if you ask me, do I believe in law of attraction? Absolutely. It's all about speaking positive energy into your life. That's when people say, oh, I'm stupid, I'm broke, I don't have nothing. Like, who said? You're speaking that out into the universe. Of course, that is going to be your mindset, your frame. That's what you're going to get back. Nothing, because that's what you're speaking out. So you should always speak positivity, guys. I know this video is a bit long, but I want to share this story with you guys. I hope that you learn something about it. If you have law of attraction stories, please share it. Actually, I want to hear about you guys' stories. And keep going, guys. Peace, love, and happiness. And I will see you guys later. Bye.